Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rakahakudash, double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone who rule well and taught me this truth. Peace, blessings, salutations, and mercies to the elect and the one-third remnant out there listening and doing this word with all faith and sincerity scattered amongst the nations and the four corners of the earth. To you I say Shalom, Lord willing. This video is edifying. It's going to be centered around the topic of keeping a positive mindset in the midst of adversity, right? While you're going through something, you may be having lows or whatever. Things may not be going in the way that you wanted them to go, but it's essential to keep a positive mindset, okay? To think about the things that the Lord has done for you and to think about the situation that he has gotten you through, and to just, keep fighting, keep pushing, right? And be grateful, because a lot of the times when Jake be going through shit, he only thinking of, the things that's not going the way he want, right? He's not thinking about the other side of it, okay? Yeah, you may, not have a vehicle, but you have other means of transportation. Maybe somebody close to you may step up and, help you, or, whatever means. Maybe at the end of this period of testing, right, the Lord is going to bless you with a better vehicle. You lose a woman, okay? Maybe that woman, paid half of the rent because you lived with her. So she left. Now you stuck with the whole rent, or, maybe you have to move, okay, back in with your parents or whatever the reason for the season. But you have to understand and keep faith, right? And keep that positive outlook. Remember the positives about the situation, because I guarantee you there are plenty of positives to go around. I was listening to this guy, Theo Vaughn, right? Comedian, and he made a statement. He said, I grow more from my losses than, or more from my failures than my wins. So, in a way, he was pretty much just saying, I love when I fail, because I gain the most out of it. And that's the mindset that you should have. Not saying that you should be looking to fail, but you shouldn't be weak-minded or, chimping out, because it does happen that way, right? Maybe you blow an opportunity, okay? Or, something like that. Okay, because you're going to have plenty of that in this truth, right? Things are not going to go in your favor all the time, okay? Matter of fact, let me rephrase that. Things are not going to go the way you want them to go all the time, okay? This is Sirach 2 and 4. Sirach 2 and 2. Set thou heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble, right? Because being hasty is like being faithless, right? You're not being thorough, okay? You're not examining, all right? You just reacting, okay? You haven't gathered your wits, right? You're just moving out of fear, right? That's what moving in haste is, okay? Emergency measures, right? Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end, right? So it's not about what is happening at the moment, it's what's going to happen at the end. Okay, you have to consider the end thereof. right? You may not see the results of what you putting in at the moment, right? You may not see it. Some things are going to take, you're going to see the fruits thereof, you know, 2 weeks, a month after you already, started that initial action. But you have to be faithful, and you have to be, down with the process. Okay. It's not a quick process, but guess what? It is effective. It is efficient. All right. And it's whatever the Lord have you do at the moment. But what it's all about is you trusting him. Okay. Not sitting back and being scorned at the Lord because, of a temporary problem. Okay. And, I like to think of it like, man, this is light to the Lord. That's why the Lord said, cast our burdens upon him. Okay. And in the end, the Lord is going to bless us. He's going to reward us for our faithfulness. Okay. Is he not just? Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. Right. So when you're in that low estate, you have to be long suffering. Okay. And when you are, just sitting there in that, anguish, right? In that hell, and you just, embracing it, you're able to pull out so much. And a lot of the time you realize this is your own fault, right? If you would have simply made a better decision at a moment in which, before it led up to what's happening, then you wouldn't be in that situation. And it's little simple shit like that. And sometimes, Jake don't see the mistake at the time. But once you sit there in that furnace and you examining things, you start to see it, start to make sense. The picture becomes clearer, right? Which is the purpose to why the Lord, he's sitting you down, or he's doing what he's doing. Okay. This is Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. Right. Think on these things to praise the Lord for, man. To keep you positive, being examining honestly, thinking critically. Okay. Like, well, you know what? I did through this, or, you may not have made a mistake in this particular situation. Maybe it's the Lord just, moving, around things that you can't even perceive, right? Making that shuffle for that blessing, like I said, at the end. All right. And you have to be okay with that. Well, Lord, you ain't never forsaken me, up until this point. So why would you do it now? And I pray you don't, and you start thinking about the things in which the Lord has blessed you with, because we are definitely blessed. Okay. With this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding first and foremost, but your situation really ain't that bad, and you have to start thinking about that. Okay. And acknowledging that, like, wow, Lord, I'm grateful for this. If you can't appreciate what you got, why would the Lord give you more? Right. Just think about that. Okay. You have to be grateful, humble. This is Isaiah 26:3. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. So that's that peaceful mindset. When you're thinking upon the things in which the Lord has done and how he's always shielded you and protected you and guided you and led you through all different types of adversities and, all different type of things going against you, right? Even before the truth, you know, back before you wasn't even calling on the name of the Lord, but yet the Lord was still with you. So how much more now when, you know, we doing what we supposed to do, okay? You know, the only reason you should be worried is if you ain't doing what you should be doing, right? Because now, you know, you giving room for the Lord to fuck you up, right? But if you know you on your P's and Q's and you have some shit happen to you, or, you know, maybe a coworker at work accuse you of something, or your boss might be a demon, maybe you get laid off of work. That's no reason to faint, man. You know, it's not an obstacle, it's an opportunity, right? That the Lord is putting in front of you to overcome and glorify his name, right? Praise his name. Okay. Your personal testimony. This is Proverbs 4:23. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life, right? So you got to keep your mind, right? When you go into that word heart, that word is lahab, right? Or lab. It's like it. Lab. And it means inner man, right? Mind, will, heart, understander, inner part. Okay, so you got to keep your integrity, right? You got to keep your mind. Your mind is a terrible thing to waste, and you'll waste it thinking about the things you don't have. Okay, and really that's a feminine trait. You know, you pouting, spoiled brat mentality, man. Okay, that's what you want to stay away from. Okay, you can't be entitled. All right, the Lord gonna do as he please, and you just need to pray that, you know, it's in his pleasure to keep you afloat and bless you, and maintain you, right? Scripture say, work out thy own salvation with fear and trembling, right? So you just pray that the Lord's will is for you to be one of his men, right? And the rest will fall into place. That's the most important thing, okay? This is Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Most High, to them who are the called according to his purpose, right? To those who have been called, man, right? So all things work good in our favor. So you lose a woman, your child go against you, or reject you, or whatever the fuck it is. Lose a job, might lose a place to stay, whatever it is, it's working for your benefit. No matter how bad it seems, it's working for your benefit. And when you think like that, it'll help you focus on the positives that these situations are bringing about, because they're not brought about to break us. They're brought about to build us, right? And we can't lose sight of that because of, you know, your feelings at the moment. Okay, so with that, I give all praise and the glory to Yahweh Bashem El Shai, Bashem Rakakwadash, Wa Abba Babal, and DTA DTN.